Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. The BMF belt, the bad mother effer, man. How could this not be the Nuck If You Buck fight of the card?
Oh, I knew it was coming.
You knew it had to be this one, man. Both of them, unreal competition. We were talking about Charles Oliveira just a second ago, and that dude has unreal competition too. Those three guys, you're looking at it, you're like, oh my god, they fought everybody that's been a big name in UFC in their weight class. They fought them. Most of them have beat them too. Gaethje, I feel like he is gonna have that KO power that I don't think Max has, and I think Gaethje's got better grappling, better wrestling. His weakness is his weakness in his game is getting subbed, and I don't see Max Holloway. He's not a sub guy. He's not a sub guy. He's going to beat you with his fists. I feel like he's kind of lost power as his age. He's only had one knockout since 2018, and that was versus an old Korean zombie. So I like that these odds are a little bit closer than some of the ones that we've been talking about. I just feel like a Gaethje, I feel like you could take sub out. It's not going to be a sub. He's going to just be like, come back up if Holloway's on the ground. Holloway's not a BJJ guy either, so I don't see him laying on the ground, but I don't see them like really doing any mat time in this fight. I would do probably a double method for this. Gaethje knockout and decision is minus 200. What are we at? What is our Gaethje minus 162 winning method? Gaethje by knockout or decision at minus 200. What the fuck? How does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of people are really on Gaethje for this one.
But still, that's minus 200 versus the money line is minus 162. How do you take out a method and it go up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're on DraftKings, stay away. Stay away from that. I have not seen that before. I don't know if that's a phone glitch or what's going on with that. I'm on Gaethje. I am on Gaethje. I guess I'll take the money line because it's at minus 200 for the double method. Let's see. Knockouts plus 150. Decision plus 275. Ooh. Max is tough, though. Max is tough and Max can bang. It's at minus 170. I'll just take Gaethje. What do you think, Bobby?
This is another really damn tough fight.
Yeah.
I want to be on it with Gaethje with you, but at the same time, so this is what makes me lean Gaethje. We've seen this before. We've seen Max Holloway move up in 2019 against Poirier and lose a unanimous decision. And that was it. That was the end of him trying lightweight, went back down to featherweight, successfully defended against Edgar. Then the next fight in 2019, December of that year, lost the belt to Volkanovski. We know how the rest of the story goes.
Yeah.
So the thing that's giving me some pause with that is it looks like in all the media I've been seeing, Max Holloway's been better prepared bulking up in an effective manner to make weight to 155 to be challenging. And Holloway is also one of those guys who's kind of like the kryptonite of Gaethje, like the type of guy who's beaten Gaethje before, your Eddie Alvarez, your Dustin Poiriers, when Gaethje first came into the UFC and was just like fucking destroying everybody and just reckless abandon and violence incarnate. The first people to beat him were Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez. He made quick work of Michael Johnson in his debut. Then he ran into those two. Eddie Alvarez KO'd him. Dustin Poirier TKO'd him. Then he went back on a run against James Vick, Barboza, Cerrone, and Ferguson, KO or TKOing them all until he, got the chance at the belt and lost to Khabib. So what I'm saying with this is Dustin, Eddie, and Max are all those gritty, tough, bang, stand-up fighters that push Gaethje to the edge. Gaethje is, I wouldn't go so far as to say he's your prototypical, he can be the hammer, but he can't be the nail, because he has a hell of a lot of heart and he has a hell of a lot of grit and determination. and he will keep going until he is too physically exhausted or until you separate him from consciousness or choke him out. Like Khabib put him to sleep rather than, tapping. He got put to sleep by Khabib. But it's tough. It's tough because they both have. I mean, Gaethje's older. I'm actually fucking shocked. This is how weird MMA is. I keep saying it. Gaethje's 35. Max is only 32. You would think it's the other way around. You think Max would be pushing 40, and Gaethje would be 32. It's not. Gaethje's actually the older guy. He doesn't look 35, but he is. Holloway looks way fucking older than 32. Crazy shit. Crazy shit in this sport. I just feel like I don't understand why it's such a huge discrepancy. I get the big KO over Dustin Poirier, but let's be real. I know a lot of you are going to get butthurt. I think Poirier's another guy on the way out, but fuck, I feel that way about Gaethje and Max Holloway both.
Right.
Gaethje himself said, like, after the fucking loss to Dustin Poirier, I think in the first fight, I think he said he can't keep fighting like this. And if he does, he only has like 6 more fights left in the fucking UFC. He was already thinking about retirement and already thinking about damage and everything else. And yeah, he has changed his style. He has been a little bit more strategic, a little less reckless and all that while still keeping the excitement factor. But you still have to think that's a guy who said that after his third fight in 2018, and here it is 2024, and he's had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights since then. And he's 35, which is baffling. So he's another guy that you got to think has got to be drawing to a close here. If he doesn't make another run at the title, he will. And even if he does and he loses, that's like his third title fight that he's fucking lost. He lost to Khabib. He lost to Oliveira to be his third title fight. You're looking at he's probably going to be – he's not going to be kicked out of the UFC, but he's going to want to leave. He seems like the type of guy Gaethje does that if he doesn't get the title after a third time, he's going to be like, I got all these performance bonus, $50,000 bonuses. I have all these accolades, all this action, all these highlights and shit. I'm done. Same with Max Holloway. He's only 32, but his UFC debut was in – he's been in the UFC – since 2012. So just 2 years earlier than Charles Oliveira, but that's still a lifetime that he's been in the UFC. Both of these guys, I don't get why there's a huge discrepancy. They're pretty much like the thesis and antithesis if you're a fucking philosophy major out there, like tailor-made for each other to culminate in a fight like this. And I just feel like they're just both – it's going to be the most exciting fight. Neither one's going to want to back down. Neither one's going to want to turn around, turn away, whatever. Like fucking Max Holloway called Ricardo Lamas, I believe it was, into the middle of the fucking octagon in like the last round, and they just started hockey punching the shit out of each other like Don Fry and that Japanese fuck. And it's just – I don't know. I'm trying to not get long-winded on this shit to wrap it up. I think this would be the first and maybe only time that I'll differentiate. And you could say what I was saying about Oliveira with either one of these guys. That's what I was getting at when I said this next fight we're talking about. You could say the same shit, and that is it has to end at some point. There's no storybook ending. There's no happily ever after. One of these guys is going to fucking lose, and it's not going to be by decision because I think since this is for the BMF, I'm trying to double check right quick, but an X factor to this is that since this is for the BMF, this is a 5-round fight potentially. Since it is technically, in finger quotations, a title fight, and title fights have to be 5 rounds. If this is a 5-round, then I definitely give the edge to Holloway for sure. So let me double check that because that's definitely an X factor. BMF title.
Like I've heard that. I feel like I heard that it was going to be 5.
So if that's a 5-rounder, 5 rounds for 2 of the all-time greats in the division. This fight will be 5 rounds for the BMF title. This is a 5-round fight. That kind of solidifies it for me. That pushes it over the edge. This is not going to decision. Once again, both of these dudes from the beginning of round 1 to the end of round 5, it's not going to make it to round 5, but the whole fucking time they're allocated in the octagon are going to be trying to take each other's heads off. And there's nothing I need to say about Max Holloway's cardio that hasn't already been beaten to fucking death. So I'll just make a quick summary and say plus 136 money line. But what would it be? Actually, I'll just say plus 130. Just KO TKO for Max is plus 800. That's what I'm putting my money on. I'm putting my money on plus 800. It's not going to be a sub. And if it is, then that's just so fucking out there. Then you might as well just, you might as well compensate and buy a lottery ticket because that's how crazy your fucking luck is. And it's not going to decision. There's no way in fucking hell. I just feel like Holloway's going to have the endurance and the cardio. And even though Gaethje trains at altitude and is like all that shit, he's proven before that when he's confronted, unstoppable force meets an immovable object, that he can lose. And I don't think Eddie Alvarez was any tougher than Max Holloway. I don't think Dustin Poirier was any tougher. I like Holloway KO TKO plus 800.
You're on the sharp side too, Bobby. 36% of the bets are on Holloway, but 60% of the money.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top, eh? Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.